Welcome to How to Belong with me, Naomi Lloyd. This is the show where I interview guests about their stories of finding belonging, the curveballs that throw us off course, and how to find our way back again, whatever chapter of life we're in. Welcome back to How to Belong. Oh, my guest today is someone I think you're just going to absolutely love. She's someone who doesn't just talk about belonging, she actively builds it. Lea Turner has carved her own path from outsider to community leader, mentor, and powerhouse of unapologetic self belief. Known for her authenticity, visibility, and no BS attitude, she first found fame shaking up LinkedIn. But her journey didn't stop there. She's now the founder of The Halt, a thriving online community of nearly 600 solopreneurs and small business owners with more than 100 hours of training, and in her words, not one single knobhead. Um, the whole is all about kindness, inclusion, and building businesses without burnout or bravado. Just real people with real support. It's a space where square pegs finally fit. Could not be more perfect for this podcast. And Lea knows this journey deeply. As a tattooed single mum who never looked like the quote unquote typical entrepreneur, she's had to fight stereotypes, deal with online bullying, and face the loneliness that sometimes comes with high visibility. But she's also built a space where others, especially those who don't fit the mold, can finally belong. So, without further ado, Lea, welcome to How to Belong. It's amazing to have you here. How are you today?
Thank you
Oh,
so much, Anthony. I'm good actually. Considering it's a Monday morning, I'm feeling quite sprightly. So you got me in a good day today. I definitely think it's the
oh,
sunshine. That's definitely helping. And also, I'm going in to give a talk to my son's school this afternoon to his class, and I'm quite excited about
oh,
that. So I think he was really excited this morning. So I think I've fed off that excitement.
it's like your primary identity, isn't it, as a mum? And then being able to sort of see that excitement from him that he's so proud of you. Oh, lovely. Well, I hope you enjoy that. That's fantastic. Well, I'm glad to be part of your special Monday then. That's great.
Yeah,
Right, let's just jump in because there's so many things I want to ask
thank
you.
you.
Um, so the whole premise of this podcast is sort of really delving deep into how people find a sense of belonging. Um, some of us, it might be an easy thing for, to find, and has never really struggled with it. For me, I found that I started off quite well in the world in that sense, but then there's certain things that hit for most people is curveballs and things, whether it's grief or whether you're slightly different or you don't fit the mold, as you say. Did you ever feel all the way back then that you didn't always fit in or that you didn't know where to?
I didn't I didn't when I was very young. When I was very young, and have always been a huge reader. So I would be slightly like disconnected from the group in that I would be sat on the playground with a book, and my head buried in a book. But apart from that, no, I had a really good friendship group at school. I was fairly like popular with the other kids. I didn't have any real grief. There was no bullying at a very young age. I think the turning point for me was
Oh,
was me losing my father. So my dad was diagnosed with cancer when I was 8, and he was 39, and he passed away when he was 41, and I was just about to start secondary school. And I think during those years, my need to
yeah,
belong disappeared because I think I felt different because I knew I was going through something that was different to all of my friends, and it wasn't really something you could speak to other children about, and you don't really know how to verbalize it yourself anyway, because it feels kind of normal because it's your normal as a kid and you don't know any different. But also you realize that, not being able to have your friends come over to play, not being allowed to go to stay at friends' houses because you're doing hospital trips back and forwards, helping your mum care for your dad during chemotherapy, etc. Like, I knew that that wasn't normal, but I didn't talk to anybody about it. I didn't talk to my friends about it being weird because I didn't really register. You just crack on when you're a kid and adjust. And I think then in my teenage years, I had a core group of friends at school, and we were the kind of friends that didn't really fit in any of the main high school groups. We weren't
yeah,
the popular girls, we weren't the nerds, we weren't the really sporty people. We were the sort of different ones. All of us were different in our own way. And I felt quite comfortable around them. But I never really, and I think having talked to like psychological experts over the years, um, there's a period in your life when you're around 10 years old that you really start internalizing other people's opinions. And I think because I was experiencing so much grief at that time, I didn't really get that bit. I was too busy distracted by other things. So I never really gave much of a crap what other people thought of me. And that never developed. It was always like, well, I am who I am. And if someone doesn't like it, it doesn't matter to me, does it? Like, I just won't spend time with those people. And could be partly due to my neurodivergence. I'm autistic ADHD, and it could be because I just missed that developmental part because grief was overwhelming everything. So I don't really know, but I never really felt the need to blend in. I was a goth. I had tattoos and piercings from a too young age. Um, and I was very rebellious as a teenager, very wayward, narrowly avoided getting myself into some major trouble. Um, but
Oh,
again, like, I just never felt that craving to be like everybody else.
how incredible that life can send you on these different pathways, and that's where, as an adult, you found out that's why you are the way you are. But it seems to be like your superpower that you have that. You don't care what other people think.
I think I've learned. Yeah, I think, that could have gone one of two ways, and it could have led me down a path of not being a nice person and just not caring about the people around me. And it's not like I think I've probably been through those phases as a teenager, and throughout my 20s I was a lot more like selfish, not in a way that would negatively impact those around me that I was aware of, but I was very much like, well, I want to do what I want to do, not overly thinking too much about the people around me. That's the period of your life you're supposed to be doing those sorts of things, though, right? Isn't it? But once I became a parent, when my son was born, I think I had a huge shift in, while I didn't really care about what other people thought, I wanted to make sure that I was somebody he would be proud of and that my dad would have been proud of as well. So I think I became a lot more aware, self-aware of my own behaviours and how it was impacting people, because I knew that I wanted my son to grow up
Oh,
with a really strong role model. And if he's going to emulate me, which he does constantly, he's like a miniature version of me. Not even that much more miniature these days. Um, but yeah, I think that was quite a big turning point. But there's definitely downsides to it as well, because I sometimes I'm a bit unfiltered in how I speak to people and how I say things, because I forget that not everybody can take the quite blunt feedback that I'm prone to giving. Um, but yeah, in terms of like how I look and how I show up in the world, it has been, strangely a gift from losing my father. That is
uh,
something that has resulted and been leveraged as a gift rather than a negative.
I've never thought of it that way before. And I'm fascinated talking to you about it from a personal point of view because I definitely
Mm.
identify as somebody who is probably not thick skinned. I'm quite sensitive. So, in fact, somebody said something to me the other day, and I think he sat with me for 3 or 4 days. It was a definite put down. It was meant to upset and to put me in my place sort of thing. And, when somebody says something and you go away and afterwards you think, "Oh, why didn't I come back with that one line, or why didn't I ask them to repeat it so that what they said would have actually." If you ask somebody to repeat something, it's a lot harder for them to give you an insult the second time because it just suddenly, you know, show them up for what they were saying. What kind of advice would you give to somebody like me who's
Mm.
will sort of think about it and ruminate about these sort of things and not always be prepared to stand up at the right time when it happens when they need to do.
I think that comes with confidence, that in the moment knee jerk response, which I've definitely gotten used to, and I'm much better at the quick comebacks these days than I ever used to be. But I think the key thing to always keep in mind, and it sounds so cliche, but these people are never people that are more successful than you, and they're rarely happy, because ultimately the happiest people in the world are the ones that choose to look at the world in a positive light. They're the ones that find the good in people. They're the ones that support others and cheerlead them and encourage them. The people that try and keep people down and hold people back or criticize them. And I don't mean constructive criticism. That's always really valuable when it's constructive, but we're not talking about that. And if they're just being negative, it comes from an ugly place inside them. So I pity them. I think, well, if you're so unhappy and you're so unsatisfied with yourself, your life, where you are at, that you feel the need to try to bring me down, then I'm really sorry that your life is that unhappy. Do you need a hug? That's the kind of vibe that they give. And like, I don't offer them a hug because I'm not,
No.
I'm not that kind of person. I'm more of a stick your fingers up at them and walk off kind of person.
No.
But they're never doing better than you. They're never more successful or happier than you. So I tend to, unless I can use it as content and make some money from it, or support others and encourage others with what they've said or sent, um, I just choose peace and I walk away quietly and I just think, God, it's sad to be you, isn't it?
Ah, but it sounds great to be you though, Leah. That you it just feels like that would be such a great way to live lives, that you didn't let it, you don't absorb it, you let it bounce off.
I
Um,
think this is something else though that has come as a trauma response to losing my father, is that you realise he was 41 when he
mm,
died. I'm nearly 40 now. And I just sort of think, like, if I was to die at 41, that's half the lifespan I would hope to have,
mm,
at least half, or more than half. I don't want to spend any of those precious years concerning myself with what other people think of me, when they're people whose minds I can't change. People will have a narrative of you in their head, and it's either positive, negative, or neutral. Now, you might be able to change the minds of the people that are neutral. You'll rarely be able to change the minds of the people that are negative. Everything you do will feed into this negative narrative that they've got. So why waste your time?
mm,
Like, I've got people that hate me on LinkedIn, despite the fact I've raised millions for charity, despite the fact that I'm a single mum, despite the fact that I support people constantly, despite the fact that I stand up for myself and encourage people to be confident and be themselves. It does not matter what I do. They will find a reason to hate me because that's just how they've decided to view me. And everything I do will, oh, it's just for attention. Oh, she's only helping charities for her own PR. And you think, I
mm.
can't, there's nothing more I can do. Why waste my energy when I've got 10 times more people that will support me, that will help each other, that do appreciate my efforts? So you're wasting time on this small percentage of people when actually so much more good can come from focusing on the good ones. Life's just too short
Mm.
to waste a single second really doing anything to try to change people's minds that are determined to hate you.
It's so
So,
true. It's so true. I mean, you're making me think about people online. That's a terrible, terrible poison that's in our lives at the moment. And for children growing up, you know, you've got a young boy. My two sons are a little bit older; they're late teens, but um, it's terrifying to think about how. I'm so glad I didn't grow up as a teenager in this time. I don't know if you feel the same, because it.
I was MSN Messenger era, so from the age of about 14, I was using things like chat rooms and
Oh,
MySpace.
okay,
So I was just on that verge
yeah,
of it. But it was before Snapchat, it was before, WhatsApp, where people were getting bullied on, and Facebook was only just coming to be a
mm,
thing as I was exiting my teens. So, um, so I had a bit of a taste for it, but we didn't have, like, most of us didn't have mobile phones as teenagers. I think I had my first one at 14 and it cost about 50p per text,
yeah,
and it was hard work sending a text. So,
yeah,
like, I didn't quite see the sort of mobile phone era, but it does make me nervous with my son. I started a football TikTok for my son where it's my account, but it's under his name, and I post videos of him playing football. And he's got like 700 young boys following him and football fans, and the amount of he had a handful of like negative comments about him trying out for Man City and doing trials there, of people going, he's never going to make it, he's not good enough. What a crap guy. And I'm like, he's 9. What
yeah,
is wrong with you?
yeah.
Like, he won't ever see it. But I was like, what kind of darkness do you have inside you to write something like that about a 9-year-old boy chasing his dreams? That's tragic.
It is tragic, and that's the scary thing about it, that it's too easy now for people to be cruel, and that
Mm,
when not everybody has the same response that you do to it, they might absorb it a lot more,
mm.
and that's what can be really dangerous. Have you ever yourself experienced? I think you have, from what I understand, online bullying.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
did that sort of
loads.
manifest? Was that on LinkedIn or?
Yeah, so I had a whole group of people that had a WhatsApp group dedicated to saying how awful I am. And they would like posts about me. I had one guy try to extort money from me because he was a graphic designer and he accused me publicly of stealing his content. I was like, why would I steal your all my content's about being a single mum, a LinkedIn trainer, a typist. Like there is nothing in the year of his content. I went back, there was nothing even vaguely similar. But he thought if he shouted loudly, I'd pay him to go away. And that went on for 18 months. He contacted my clients with these like genuinely unhinged rants. And my clients were just like, what on earth? Because people knew that my brand was strong enough that there was no way I was copying content. It would have been detected immediately because someone would have seen mine and recognized it. So
Mm,
it was a very bizarre thing. Went on for 18 months. Um, yeah, there was a group of like middle-aged white male marketing men that just hated me. I don't know if they hated me, if there was some sort of envy because of the sort of success that I'd seen very quickly. I don't know what it was, but I just blocked them all and moved on. At one point, I think I used some of the content that they'd written about me to post about online bullying, and I got so many clients off the back of it that I then made a generous donation to the National Bullying
uh,
Helpline, and then posted about that with two fingers up to them, like keep coming at me, guys, because I'm just donating the money you're making me to a
mm.
charity to help other people that aren't as strong as I am. So keep making me money. There was God knows how much was on Reddit about me for a while. Sort of at the peak of popularity on LinkedIn, there was tons about what an awful person I was. Um, I used all their troll comments and I put together a comedy set at the London Comedy Store, and I got paid 3 grand to stand on stage for 20 minutes reading troll comments out about myself. So,
Amazing.
and then I booked a holiday to Mexico, all inclusive, and I turned the lemonade into tequila shots, which was rather
Lemonade
nice.
into tequila shots. I love that. That's the ultimate fingers up, isn't it? Oh my god.
That's it, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, if you can turn a negative experience into something positive for you, then it wasn't really a negative experience, was it?
No.
Like, you neutralized it. And I think I've people know now that if they come at me on LinkedIn, it's not gonna end well. I'll somehow spin it to my own advantage. So there's no point in bothering because it'll just rebound off me. And I think I always say to my son when it comes to bullies, don't give them the reaction they want. They want to see you upset. They want to see you cry. They want to see it negatively affect you. Now, it's fine if you need to go and have a little cry with your friends
Mm,
and have a rant about it and fantasize about all the awful ways you're going to break their legs. But the public faith, don't let them see that they got to you because then you satisfy them. And I sort of pull myself up. Not that I don't even sob about it now. My team, I had some ridiculous email the other day being really abusive about me, and it went to my team and they deleted it from the inbox. And one of the other members was like, oh, such and such has deleted an email about you that's come into the inbox. Do you want to see it? I said, yeah. And I said to the other team member, don't delete it because I'll use it for content. I took a screenshot of it, censored out the really rude words, and used it as a post on LinkedIn. Just think,
and what was the
bring it.
response to the when you posted that then? What was the response?
Oh, massive. It's had like 100,000 views and loads of extra followers for people that liked how I handled it.
Right.
So ultimately, these people become their own worst enemies when I use them as content. And I don't normally out their names, or sometimes, they do it with pseudonyms. They're not using their real name if
Mm,
they're really real cowards. But I don't give in to it. I think the more you give in to bullies, the more they'll get glee from bullying you
yeah.
from from their darkness inside. So yeah, don't show weakness to them.
So you're leading this business model that people can on the hold, and you've got this backstory of this fantastic success of LinkedIn, but at the same time, well, you're another side of you that's sending out this fantastic message about
Mm.
how to deal with bullies. And I don't think it's the tagline of your business, but it feels as though that's something that you're doing as a as an extra part of it, which is probably huge, just as valuable, or hugely valuable.
I feel like that's been a strong part of my brand over the years is that, because I showed up on LinkedIn chin to toes in tattoos with bright blonde hair, big boobs, and an attitude, people were like, who is this person? She got lost on the way from Instagram. Like, I didn't look like I belonged in the corporate world. And I had to really prove myself because and I get it, I'm not poor me about it. But I get why people just assumed I was a hairdresser or a tattoo artist or a nail technician. Like, they didn't take me seriously as a business person. And I've had to, put a bit of extra effort in for people to take me seriously, which I'm at that stage now. But I think because I experienced that negativity and handled it quite publicly, it led to a lot of people following me because they liked the humor and sort of, you know, FU attitude towards bullies. And I had men and women message me saying, you've made me feel more capable to deal with negativity. I hope my daughter grows up to show the strength that you do. I showed my daughter your posts because she's getting bullied at school. And that's a real motivator for me because I think you need those strong female role models that don't necessarily fit the mold, because as a teenager that didn't fit in, I could have really done with seeing someone like me
Mm.
um, who's handling life the way I'm handling it now. And that's kind of always in the back of my mind. Like, be the woman that you needed when you were a teenager. Um,
Oh,
so not in like some sort of martyr way, but I definitely needed. I would have got a lot further in life a lot quicker if I'd had a strong role model that I related to. So my mum was a strong role model, but I needed someone that I related to, and I struggled with very different people. I love her to pieces, but we're very, very different.
mm,
Um, so I think that's something that we can all shoulder a little bit of responsibility for, is saying we owe it to the previous versions of ourselves to be the one we needed when we were young.
that's very true. And you've made, because I wear hearing aids. I have done since I was a child, and back then, I was a child of the '80s and a teenager in the '90s. I didn't have the role models of some of the amazing young girls that are out there now, like Jodie Oundley, who's Fury and Gladiator, and people like that. I really relate to what you were saying in a different way, and I think, yeah, I wish somebody had been, or maybe I should have tried to do that myself back then. I'm trying to be a bit more open about it now, and own that as part of who I am.
You're still able to be that person now. You're not, it's not over. You can still
Um,
be, just, I think, having that self-awareness of when you're in a situation, you go, what would the version of me I want to be have done or say?
yeah.
And say that. But then I say that, and it is easy for me. I'm very impulsive, and I'm very if I get myself into trouble, I back myself to be able to get out of it. So therefore my mouth will run because I'm maybe too confident that I'll be able to fix it. So sometimes I say things or do things and go, oh, after, not sure that was a good idea. Maybe maybe I should have thought that one through a little bit more. So far, it's not got me into any massive trouble, but it will happen at some point.
Of course, if you're putting yourself out there, that's going to happen, and
Yeah.
it comes, that's kind of the price that you pay. But you don't come across to me as somebody that would be beating yourself up about it. You're not going, "Oh no, I overshared, or I said that." Or you're not going to be sitting at home ruminating about it, because, like you said, life's too short, and you learnt that lesson at such a young age. And
Yeah.
that is a gift that you're giving back to the world by being prepared to put yourself out there and be so visible. Um,
And I think I'm just never afraid to screw things up. Like, I've screwed up a lot in my life. I've made big decisions that have definitely not panned out. I've had to I've moved to New Zealand. I was like, I'm never coming back in my early 20s. I'm never coming back. I'm leaving England. I'm going to make a life in New Zealand. Came back 6 months later, didn't enjoy it. Too big. too not enough people, too expensive to travel, and went, not for me, came back, and everyone was like, "You're embarrassed that you, like, said you would never come back, and then you're back." I was like, "Why would I be? Did you move abroad?" And they're like, "No." I said, "Well, at least I tried." I'm very much of the, I'd rather try, fail, and do something else than be the kind of person that goes, "Oh, I wish I had, or I really should have done that when I had the opportunity." That's for me, that's where I really fear. And that's probably, again, something that came from losing my father young, because my father had traveled the world. He'd been around the world twice with the Navy. He'd fallen in love twice. He'd had children. He wasn't an educated man. He wasn't a wealthy man, but he lived. He really lived. And he was a positive, happy person with hundreds of people at his funeral that he'd impacted despite being poor and barely read or write. You think, well, like, if you can be that impactful on people's lives with no education and hardly any money, and basically just a whistle and a smile and a ladder to go up, clean their windows, was what he did. Like, what's my excuse? I have got a decent education. To didn't do higher education, but I was smart and got my GCSEs and everything. What's my excuse not to be able to do impact on an even greater scale than he did without the privileges I had?
Mm. You're living a life that seemed to be very much with your father at the side, and it's really lovely
Yeah,
to see it. Yeah.
100%. He guides me with everything. Like, it's always there in the back of your head. Like, would he have been proud of this decision? Would he have been proud of what I've turned into? I can't say that in my 20s. I really think that I needed that period of self discovery, which I went on through my 20s. But as soon as my son came along, I was like, I need to be the mother he'd be proud of. The mother that, not that I didn't have. I did have a wonderful mother that was incredibly strong, but I think because I knew I had to be mother and father, there was that even bigger sense of responsibility for my son. Um, so yeah, it's for the last 10 years, it's absolutely been the forefront of everything that I do.
Oh, it's you can tell that when you're talking about it. I say it's beautiful, and it absolutely will be having an impact. Could you tell us a bit more about the Holt? I'm really fascinated as somebody that runs my own business, and I have different identities going on with businesses, and sometimes it can get a bit overwhelming. And I'm really
Yeah.
interested to hear more about the Holt. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
So when I was doing LinkedIn training, I was teaching business owners how to generate leads with content and networking on LinkedIn. And one of the things that I noticed is that it can take a while to create enough content to build those relationships and trust with people on LinkedIn. But it was taking longer for people because they didn't have all of the other bits in place for their business. So they didn't have a decent website, they didn't have an email list, they didn't have a newsletter going out, they didn't have their automations and follow-ups in place, no CRM, no sales training. They were really good at the thing that they sell, but they were not necessarily good at all of the other bits. And a lot of it was they didn't even know it existed. Like, so it couldn't help them because they were just unaware of it. And the reason I noticed it was because I was the same. It took me like 2 years to even realize I could automate my invoices and didn't have to send them all manually, because I just didn't know. I'd never worked in that kind of world. Um, and I had this huge audience on LinkedIn, and all of these people that wanted me on their podcasts, they wanted me speakers in their small communities, their Facebook groups. They wanted something from me, but I wasn't really getting anything in return other than, a bit of exposure. Um, but if I know these experts and I know all of these people that need help in these areas, what if I was the middleman? What if I created a place where I can ask these experts, because they want the exposure of being associated with my brand, I can get them to come into the community, deliver a 1 hour masterclass, and all these business owners can learn what they need about automations, about sales mindset, about putting together a package, about niching down, about copywriting, all these different things that we cover. And that was where it all started. And then I thought, well, what if it wasn't just a library of masterclasses, but actually something that combated the loneliness that we feel as business owners? Because I was a lone parent working from home with, especially during COVID, like it was just after COVID that I sort of stuck, like we were just getting back out into the world properly in 2022 that I actually launched the whole. But the idea was like mess, I'm losing my words, was fizzing about in the back of my head like before that. Um, So I thought, well, it could be more than that. It could be an actual community of people. So I was that, and it's evolved since then. So, now we've got a tech expert that does a 1 hour session every month to fix tech problems to save people money. We've got a massive discount library. We've got a huge library of over 500 content ideas that you can scroll through anytime you're stuck for content. We have a well-being circle every month to help prioritize their well-being. We do a LinkedIn clinic. I do a LinkedIn clinic every month. And we, unlike other communities, every single masterclass we've ever hosted for the last nearly 3 years is recorded and in the library of resources. So it doesn't matter when you join, you get access to the entire back catalogue. So you can go in there like Netflix and go, well, today I want to learn about how to automate my invoices. There's a masterclass on that. I want to learn how to send better DMs so I can start booking more sales calls. There's a masterclass for that. Um, so it's hugely evolved, and it's very difficult to capture the magic of the community from the outside, like talking to someone who doesn't know. But any question that's asked, and it could be something that you would consider really stupid, like, oh god, they're gonna think I'm silly for not knowing that. Nobody ever responds going, wow, how could you not know that and be in business for 5 years? Like, there's none of that. There is no judgment. Everyone is kind and respectful. We've got people from all sorts of different backgrounds, different countries, different religions, race. There is no judgment. There is no, you don't belong here, it's not clicky. Doesn't matter if you only come in a couple of times a month. If you've got a question you need help, the help will come. And I'm yet to see a question pop up in there that someone can't answer or knows someone to refer you to. Like, we had one guy needed photos of a specific building in Spain, but none of the ones online were going to be um, were going to work because he didn't have like copyright for them. We just happened to have a member in Spain that was visiting that place in the next few days that took a load of photos, and he gave us some money for doing so. We've had people like with tech issues that someone's just hopped on a 5-minute call because it's a quick fix. You got problems with your T's and C's. We've got a lawyer in there that specialises, and he'll do a free review of your terms and conditions. Um, and it's just on a scale like what a community should be. Everybody wants to see each other win. No one's judging each other. There's no bitchiness and gossiping going on behind the scenes. It's just a group of 500, over 500 really genuinely nice people who are trying to move forward, feel lonely and want to have some fun and not take life too seriously. And they join the masterclasses, they join the community calls and support each other without question and without expecting anything in return, which is, yeah, it's very special.
What an achievement that you've created that though. I mean, because creating we I hear this a lot. It's something that we talk about, creating a community. I mean, I find that idea quite daunting because you see other people doing it and it feels like, well, there's no, you know, how do you get there? But like you say, if you don't put yourself in the arena, you're not gonna have a chance. And yes,
I was already in the arena as well because of the following that I've grown on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people with a big following. There's not a lot of people who can raise 20 grand in a day for a charity by asking for help on LinkedIn. I don't just have a following. I have a group of people who genuinely trust me. If I talk about a service that I've worked with, that service, like there was a lady I worked with last year on my mindset, and she's a high magic practitioner, which I was very skeptical about. But after working with her, um, I had dramatic changes in my own confidence and my own mindset, and stuck to things that I'd never stuck to before. And I talked about her openly, did a video about working with her, and she made 40 grand within the next couple of weeks.
oh,
Like,
incredible.
but that happens time and time again. If I work with someone and genuinely love it and genuinely get brilliant results, I don't charge them to post about it. I will post about it because I am really happy about working with them, and they will see a massive uptick in their business, which has its benefits, but it also has its setbacks as well because you get people that want to know you and work with you for the wrong reasons. Yeah. But I already had that group of people that trusted me, that trusted my brand and was supporting me without question. So it was almost like a way of me giving back to say, I'm going to create this space that you're going to benefit from. And I'm going to be the one that runs it. And I'm going to make it ridiculously affordable. I'm going to make it more valuable, like way over deliver on the value in it. And I'm going to make it equal so there's not tiered memberships. So some people are more important. Like this is a place where we're all exactly equal, including me. I don't lead from the top. I lead like I'm in it every single day, engaging, getting to know people, connecting people every single day, rain or shine, even when I'm on holiday, even when I'm sick, because I genuinely want to be there because I love it. And I think that makes a huge difference. But I was already building a community on LinkedIn. I just made it more private.
I think it sounds I'm 100% going to check it out. I'll put my name down on the list. Is there a waiting list or can anybody
There
join?
is, yeah, we've got a waiting list with over 1,000 people on it, and
Ah,
we let 25 people in a month when we do our launches, but we also have what we call Backdoor Barry. He's our fictional security guard. So if you already know a member that's in there, you can ask them to refer you in, and if they confirm that you're not a knob, they can
not enough. I love
yeah,
it.
we make them solemnly swear that this person's not a knob because it creates this sort of accountability. Like they're not just going to refer anybody in. They're like, no, I need it needs to be someone that I know,
Mm,
and I wouldn't be embarrassed. Like if I know that they're not going to behave badly. They're going to
mm,
get the vibe of the community, um, and that's why we only let 25 people in a month because it means that we can monitor those new
mm,
25 people. If we see any signs of unpleasant behaviour, which would be almost impossible to do if I was letting in like 100 people a month.
mm.
So we do let referrals in and trust our members to only bring good people in. Um, so anyone can get in that way as long as they know somebody who's
Right.
already inside,
Oh, that's
and that
good.
doesn't exist.
Okay,
Like
that's
they don't
really
just
I feel like we've got insider tips there. Um,
yeah.
because it's interesting. That was going to be one of my questions actually about what community mean to you, but you've kind of answered it. I guess where I
Mm,
often tend to veer in this area is sometimes the word community can be feel a bit daunting. I think for some people because like you're obviously you're creating a space where everybody's welcome and it's inclusive,
mm,
absolutely inclusive. But we've all had those experiences where you try and be part of a community, but as soon as you get there, it's clicky, and like you say, you find those people that are just going to immediately feel like you're not meant to be there. So
yeah,
what you're doing is really quite special, and it's, I mean, what purpose as well is in. We all need to have a purpose, don't we? I mean, work is work, and we want to provide a living. We want to go and get the tequila shots in Mexico if we can, or if somebody berates us and we can turn it into magic. I love that, but at the same time, having a purpose I think can create that sense of belonging in ourselves as well because
yeah.
we know what our values are. I mean, if I was to say to you, what does belonging mean to you? It's a big question, but is it one that you could answer reasonably easily, do you think?
I think for me, belonging is not having to proofread who you are in order to be liked and appreciated and celebrated. Belonging is a space where you just as you are can feel at home and feel safe. And I think that's that's the key thing is feeling safe to be just as you are. And those people will make that space for you and be happy that you're there.
Oh, I love that. Proofread. You don't have to proofread who you are. That's incredible.
Mm.
I'm going to write that down. That's a Lea Turner quote that needs to be used over and over. Is that the first time you said that, or is it?
Yeah, I used proofread your personality in a post once, and it stuck in my head. So it's something that comes up quite fairly regularly, like the not having to proofread your personality,
Mm,
which I think is something that is represented in the whole. We've got people, whether it doesn't matter what gender they are, what color they are, what god they worship or
mm,
gods, like none of that matters as long as they show up with kindness and respect for each other. Because our politics and our well, I mean politics, I would say the majority of us are quite left leaning because we're very like inclusive
yeah.
and that's less so tends to be on the right. But it's one of those places where those things we don't need to have conversations about those. I think it tends to be quite accepted that we believe in everybody being exactly who they are and having and allowing space for that. And we've got proper quirky people. We've got people that, they're into all of their sort of woo woo, as they describe it, healing energy and all of that. And then you've got people that are very technical people that are, everything's grounded in science and data and research, but they get along in
Mm,
the whole. Everyone's got that mutual level of respect, and they might not get along on the outside world and choose to hang out together at a pub, but they respect that everybody's there to help each other grow, and they do help each other. And it's, yeah, it's lovely. I wish there was more of what we have in there reflected in the real world.
I was
'Cause
just thinking that when you said
it's
that,
a
wouldn't
big,
that be
a
a great
big
world to live in if
yeah.
the Hulk
I was
could
like,
be a real planet?
every time I log in, I feel like I'm going into this, like, bubble where the nasty negativity of the outside world, where everyone's trying to one up each other and it's all competitive and trying to impress people we don't care about. Just none of that happens. There's no algorithms to inside the community to get you seen more. It's just a case of say what's on your mind, and people will join in the conversation. We put one up this morning saying asking what their best fancy dress costume ever has been. And some of the answers have been unreal. We've had men dressed as Tina Turner, men dressed for the Rocky Horror Show, someone who had to chase boys out of teenage boys out of a party dressed as SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh,
And you just like, it's a proper giggle, and you get to know people with those little glimpses into their lives.
mhm.
And he's like, I don't think necessarily these quite professional men would openly admit on social media that they'd gone to the Rocky Horror Show in suspenders or had dressed up in a micro mini skirt as Tina Turner for a fancy dress party, but they're comfortable doing it inside the Hulk because it's safe.
Be safe, be safe. Oh,
Um,
finally, I've just loved this conversation. You've given me so much to think about, and I know the people listening to. You've just got some fantastic sort of truth bombs that you've just dropped all the way through it, and also it's really emotional as well hearing your story. Um, I'd love to hear uh what your thoughts were finally on say you've got somebody who's working in an office and they have a burning desire inside to go it alone. And they go into the office every day feeling stifled or misunderstood or feeling like it's a lot of energy being like an energy tax that they're paying by not always feeling like they fit in or what they want to say. All those things could be very draining on your health and your well-being. The idea of taking that huge step of putting yourself in the arena or going alone as a solopreneur and can it be done and will I make enough money? Will I be lonely? All those things. I mean, 'cause I know you don't know that circumstance, but just in terms of the confidence that there are communities that you can do it, what advice would you give somebody in that situation?
I'd say, firstly, you need to figure out what it is that you're going to do.
Yeah.
So you need to find that Venn diagram of what brings you joy, what are you good at, and what makes money. And it needs to be something that ticks all of those, right? It's got to sit right there in the middle of that Venn diagram. Then you need to work out who it's for
Mm,
and really get that nailed. And then ideally, you need to put aside at least an hour a day to do something towards it, whether that's just registering the business online, buying the domain, deciding on your brand colors, setting up a LinkedIn profile that reflects it. Like, have a list of things and just tick off one every single day. Because when you're working in an office and you're demotivated, you're feeling worthless, feeling unhappy with it, when you're taking proactive steps towards changing it in the future, even if that future is still a couple of years away, when you're taking proactive steps in that direction, you feel like you have a little bit more control over your future. It makes it a bit more bearable. So just doing one thing every day to work towards that dream. It doesn't even have to take up to an hour. That can be a lot. But then when you're ready to launch the business, just, I would say, try to have some overlap. Don't leave the job and jump straight into being a
mm,
solopreneur with no clients.
yeah.
Get some of those clients. Work yourself into the ground to an extent, like not a grave, but you will need to, you know, work some evenings, work some early mornings, work some weekends until you've got enough money in the bank. I mean, for me, I would say at least 3 to 6 months of your basic expenses covered, so that when you launch your business, you don't just grab at every single opportunity and do things that you hate, or end up so busy that you're forgetting to market yourself and you don't have anything in your pipeline. Like, you
Mm.
need solopreneurs are always making the mistake of taking on all the clients and booking their 40 hours working weeks or more of just client work. And it's like, yeah, but you need to do your admin, you need to send your invoices, you need to do your marketing, you need to build your network on social media, you need to edit your website. Like, when are you doing all of this? Because you've just booked up your client work. So I think getting all of those stages in place and having a community of people, whether that's a paid organized community or a group of business owners that you know locally, people that you can chat through things that are ahead of you, that when you go, oh, how do I do this thing, or I need to do this, does this exist, they go, yes, it does, this is what you need.
Mm.
Or yes, that's sales conversion copywriter, you need to hire one of those. Because otherwise, if you don't know, you just go, I need a copywriter to write my website. Okay, but what sort of copywriter do you want? I didn't even know there was different types of copywriters until I actually started spending time on LinkedIn. There's just so much you won't know. So having other business owners around, whether paid community or not, is essential to stop you losing your mind when
Yeah.
things aren't going well and jacking it all in after 6 months, thinking you're a failure. When the rest of us are going, no, no, we've all felt like that. Literally, we want to throw our laptops out of the window and burn it all to the ground at least once a week. You just need to weather this. This is your roller coaster that you're now on for the next fair few years until you've built that confidence
Mm.
that it will that you can keep it going, and you know how to get the clients, you know how to convert the clients, you know how to deliver all the work. It's a learning curve constantly. So yeah, that would be my best advice.
It's amazing advice. Thank you, Leah. Absolutely wonderful. And I just want to say thank you for just being so open and sharing your story and
Pleasure.
fantastic tips. And I hope you have an amazing afternoon, showing yourself in all your glory to your in front of your son and his classmates, because he's just going to be so proud, no doubt.
Oh yeah, I'm going to take a load of sweets with me, I think.
That's a really good idea. You'll win as soon as you walk in the door if you do that. You know the game. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on How to Belong. I will put the link to the Holt and to your Instagram in the show notes, and absolutely know people will be queuing up to find out more. So thank you for coming on
Please.
How to Belong. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps others find the show. I'll be back soon with another episode of How to Belong.